I wanted to Digital Tuesday, and today we got a very special feature or features. First, we start with Mythical, and of course, the Akua Lead Director, Sales Business Development. And then at 5, we have Mary Ann Brailey of the Carnival Gallery. So right now, I have with me Akua Leith. Good afternoon, sir, and how are you, my brother?
Excellent. Good afternoon to you too, and thanks for having me here today.
I know we've been speeding and we've been rushed and all kind of situations, but I'm so
Yes.
happy that you are here with me so that we can let people know about Mitko. Let me just read this. We are the music makers inspired by the dedication of the pan pioneers who came before us. We are guided by tradition and forever forged with love. We welcome you to the sound of Trinidad and Tobago. I got this brochure carnival type from your that beautiful young lady at the Queens Park Savannah, and I'm an
Yes.
ardent advocate about what I call we music, we culture, and this segment I call it the Trini Ting. So I'm happy that you can join me, Akura, and tell us about your involvement. I know we have limited time, so tell me about your involvement with the bands as a player, arranger, drum master, concerts, panorama. Give us a little bio of Akua Leith.
Well, definitely someone of the soil who would have come through the entire steel pan fabric. Just as you said, I started playing pan in secondary school, Southeast Port of Spain Secondary School.
Mhm.
I mean, in my area, Cascade, I used to hear the single pan band practicing in the streets and all that. But my cousin used to play for Southeast Port of Spain. When I went in there and Form 1, they had a call for panorama, and that was my induction towards steeper performance. I mean, from then to now, I never stopped playing or interacting with the instrument. So from Southeast, I went on to be part of a youth club. That youth club exposed us to trips to Tobago in its simplest form. We did music festivals, we did panorama, we did concerts. From there, we graduated into what we call conventional bands. The very first conventional band I played for was Kaip Tokyo, right? And
Mhm.
it started John there.
Yeah.
And then from there, I went on to Trinidad All Stars. It was Neil and Massey Trinidad All Stars or Catelli Chuck. I think either Catelli or Neil and Massey, can't remember 100%. But even in that space, which I spent most of my formative days, um, I was interested in what was going on from different levels. What was happening on the arranging side, what was happening on the leadership side. So it piqued my interest to always ask questions like, how did you get into this? How did you get into that? And one of the persons I used to talk to at that very young age was Leos Wood Edwards. And he would have given me some stories of how he got back into arranging, how he would have left for some time and so forth. Nevertheless, I joined a very small ensemble called Siddiqui Sticks on Steel, who actually had a gig in the States to do a world festival. We would have traveled at least twice a year. So from age 17, 18, I was already representing Trinidad on a very high level in terms of steeper performance. And in that space is when I realized, hey, persons beyond our borders love this instrument and have a serious, they're intrigued by where the song came from and how it was made and all these things. I became a young superstar. I mean, people want your autographs and they want to, they follow in the vehicle that you're traveling in. And when you reach the hotels, persons will identify you. So it was that was my first experience of having some level of stardom. And then I did that for a few years and realized, you know what, I need to have a solid foundation. And I decided, you know what, I really want to go back to school and then everything still back. I had a community group called TAGS, right? Still operating out of Trinity Cathedral, right on Queen Street, which had a free music literacy program, which will get persons to do their grades in steel pan performance out of UE and also steel pan theory out being certified through schools. And I would have done 2, 3 years of that. And I just giving you how the whole thing unfolded as fate will have it. Gate started in UE, and now tertiary level education is now accessible for those who can't afford it. So I did my grade 2 in TAGS, and I started applying for UE. Even in that space, I mean, so many things happen simultaneously. I wanted to even understand how the manufacturing of the pan was unfolding, and I joined Panland almost in 2003, 2005 for about 3, 4 years, and did the manufacturing process there, from learning to play and make mighty pans all the way up to making the conventional instruments, which eventually transitioned into quality control. I was working alongside the tuners and so forth, and left there and went full time into UE. And around 2007, the country started doing their little things in terms of getting the pan patented, and they started the project on the G-Pan. And I joined was part of the first cohort to be part of the National State Symphony Orchestra as a musician too. So 2007, I was going UWE. I was part of the National State Symphony Orchestra. I was teaching in tags, I'm arranging in the community bands, I play in the community bands. And 2014, that's the fast forward the story. I left NSSO to do my master's in steel pan conducting. Well, conducting on the whole, and the emphasis on steel pan performance under Fulbright scholarship. Came back in 2016, and the director at the time, Sir Justin Murray, would have then passed on. He would have resigned, and I took up the mantle as being the artistic director, conductor of the NSSO from 2014 all the way up to 2022. And in 2022, let's still go back to 2018. I got the vision about this ecosystem around steel pan, and I would have shared that vision with a few persons: Mario Joseph, the Haddad brothers, Mr. David Hackett, and we would have come together and co-found what we're currently in now, which is MIDCO, which is pillar one of an 8-pillar ecosystem that we think, not that we need to do, but that we think will really help propel the industry forward. So that's maybe the last 7 minutes of my
Well,
life
that is
story.
fantastic because I do work for Pancho Bego as an announcer at the Panorama, and I always saw this name Akua Leith, Akua Leith, Akua Leith. So it's nice to hear a nice rounded story, a nice bio, and I'm hoping to come to the factory and meet with you personally someday
Excellent.
soon.
Mhm.
So now that we got the initiative of the factory and stuff, tell me, to let people know first of all where this factory is located.
So we are located in Diamondville Industrial Estate, 4A, 3A, 3B, 4A, 4B, Diamondville Industrial Estate, right off Diamondville, the police station, the first right off for the main road,
Yeah.
first left. I mean, pretty simple to find, but the estate itself could be a little complicated using ways. But we are in
Okay.
the estate.
Okay. Now, based on what you said there from pillar one, you said pillar eight in the partner. Is there enough
Yeah.
space there for a factory of that nature?
Well, the 8 pillars represent different points of the ecosystem, which, if you don't mind me expanding on that. So, the vision came with having manufacturing, pillar one,
Yeah.
having a conservatory slash institute, pillar two, then having a private orchestra, pillar three. I'm giving you, I'll lay it out. So, the orchestra goes out to this a hypothetical situation, goes out to Brazil, performs to the Brazilian and ministry of education, showing them the benefits of steep and performance in schools and in communities. Okay, Brazil loves the idea of having span in their schools. Okay, they need instruments. We point them back to the manufacturing. Okay, they have all these instruments. Now they need to understand how to impart that information. We either train persons up or we send our persons out to carry on those programs. And the mission is span in schools around the world. And start propelling the benefits of planning schools. So those 3 pillars is really the energy behind what the other 5 will be. Pillar 4 is a museum for persons to understand where steel pan came from. I mean, we have Trimbigonians, we have Trimbigonians who don't really understand the story of the evolution of pan.
I
What happened in
know.
the 1800s, happened in the early 1930s, and so forth. We are less than 100 years old. So having a museum to see how pan evolved from ping pong to grounded to having spider web to fourth and fifth to rusty pan to chrome pans to 55-gallon drums, how did all that happen to the G pans, the 5? There's a transition that is happening right in front of us, but no one is mapping that story. And then who are the persons responsible for that transition, that evolution? So we need a Hall of Fame. Can we now read the stories of Winston Spree Simon and Ellie Manette and Clifford Alexis and Neville Dewes and all these persons and many more who would have significantly contributed to this instrument? Where is that Hall of Fame? Beyond that, there's now pillar 5, pillar 6. We need money for research, development, and scholarships. I mean, there's plenty more to unfold. And also, there's a lot of youths who wants to go out there and train up themselves and get skill sets that could come back and impact the industry. So we need to be able to support those initiatives. That's 7, 5, 6. We also need a festival. We talk about Panorama, and I didn't even give my Panorama involvement in my little exercise yesterday. But beyond Panorama, we have to create a space for creativity. Everything can't be based on competition. Everything can't be based on what this rubric is saying we need to do and keep us within this frame. It has its place, and that place is sacred, and we should maintain that. But we should also create a space where persons can go wild with their imagination and really showcase the possibilities of this instrument through some type of festival, and not just locals. This instrument has gone beyond our borders, and we should have persons who have taken the instrument and make it culturally sound in their space, come back to us and show us what they have done with the instrument. So a huge steel pan festival, I think, is critical at this moment. And the last pillar would have been a performance piece. I mean, I spent a lot of my years in Napa, and Napa is a fantastic space, but I still have this vision of almost a revolving opportunity, or I should say a revolving stage, where the steel pan has an opportunity to showcase its different vantage points. A lot of people see us. They just see our faces and they hear the music. A lot of persons never really see how our stickiness, the dexterity, how complicated playing some passages could be. So a revolving stage type of opportunity where at different points of the concert, the audience has an opportunity to experience the steel pannis at a different level. And that's one crazy idea in my head is to have a retractable roof that opens up to the environment and nature. And I want to premiere a piece on the moon when the moon is suspended directly over the auditorium. And that, I think, people will travel from spaces to experience. So those are the 8 pillars. So this factory is pillar 1. The other pillars has to evolve in different spaces.
Okay, seeing that you've touched on that very, very identifiable and intriguing segment of pan development, tell me about your affiliation with the Pan Trinbago. Is there some sort of a collaboration involving the executive of Pan Trinbago? They are the world governing body of steel bands. And that kind of bothers me, Akura. I always wonder if Pan Trinbago to Pan is like FIFA to football.
Right.
So tell me, what kind of affiliation Mitco has with Pan Trinbago?
Well, firstly, Midco is fully private. It's a fully private institution. Doesn't have any government or non-governmental um,
Connections and stuff.
connections. However, we are friends of Pan Trinbago.
Yeah.
We support Pan Trinbago in the panorama. We have been since our launch. We have been supporting them by sponsoring national anthem to start all the events, and these are their major events. We also put up a booth in Savannah, which is where you will have seen Shanika or Cindy and have this conversation, which now have me on your program.
Yes.
So again, we watch Pan Trinbago, and I also think personally we have to see Pan Trinbago as a viable asset to where we have to go. And if they need support, we should come together and support whatever it is these initiatives require. Because just as you said, the world governing body, maybe over the years, people see it as just a title. But we have to move it from just a title to actualization through collaboration. They cannot do it alone. And we can't expect them to all of a sudden wake up in the morning and have all resources at the end and be able to snap a finger and this happens and that happens. It just don't work like that. But I'll say in a nutshell, we are friends at Pan Trinbago, and what Pan Trinbago, any positive thing Pan Trinbago wants to to implement in the industry and we could offer our support, we will.
I hear you. I hear you. Walk us through the stages of this pan factory
Yeah,
manufacturing. Walk us through the stages from the raw drum to the instrument itself.
sure. So I can give you Midco's actual plan. When we were setting up this factory, there's a few things were happening in the ground. They had a shortage of drums. So we knew that when we were coming in, we have one of our directors, Mario Joseph, who's really the professional who we build this factory around. He's the master tuner builder. He would have had a relationship with a company in Japan to get his raw material. He's one of the few guys on the ground who were manufacturing who actually had a supply of raw material. So we maintain that. So we get our raw materials from Japan, but it's not that we cannot get it elsewhere because we know what we want from the raw material. We know the size of the metal, we know the components of the metallurgy and so forth. So we could literally duplicate that somewhere else, which honestly we are working on. So when you choose a drum, you bring the drum based on the gauge of the steel, the size of the drum, because different 55-gallon drums have a different circumference, but not by much. And then you go through the process of building. There's the point of sinking, where you have centric circles drawn up to measure certain parts of the instrument, the distance between the rim and the start of the groove, distance between the first line to the groove, the straight line, distance between the curvature of the end of the groove and the end of the note, and then where the middle notes in the instrument will form. So these guys start from the sinking process already mapping out where this orchestration of notes, this layout of notes will form. Different instruments have different layouts. I think sometimes we talk about steel pan as an instrument. It's actually a family of instruments, which ranges almost 17 different instruments being invented in the 20th century. And so tenor will have a different layout to double tenor, to double seconds, to guitar, to cello, to basses. And basses have a series of different numbers from tenor bass, which is 4 drums, 6 bass, 7 bass, 9 bass, and then 12 basses. So all different orchestrations and also understood as a different instrument. So when you have your layout, there's the seam of the drum, which is almost your point of reference. So once you have your template, which is duplicated across all those instruments, you line it up to your seam and everything else falls in line. The measurements of the pan, of the notes, the depth of the curvature within the drum, and so forth. When the pan is now formed, using all these measurements, these precise measurements, because it's no longer just, I think the note's supposed to be this size. There are specific measurements for every note, specific sizes for all the notes in the middle across all instruments. So when they form the instrument, there's another process which we call grooving, which is further separating the notes. So when it's tuned, you can hear distinctly C, rather than hearing C and G together or C and F together based on a fourth and fifth layout. You will hear that note C. So grooving is done. At the end of grooving, guys take it back and they start to countersink, which prepares the pan to cut to this required skirt length. And that's another point to note. Each instrument has specific skirt lengths, and there's a simple rule. The shorter the skirt, the higher the sound. The longer the skirt, the lower the sound. So if you think of a bass pan has a full drum. If you think of a tenor pan, I think a tenor pan has a very short skirt, maybe 7 inches long. When the pan is cut, it goes to burn. Burning is critical for the process. We call it, it's a process of strain aging. It also helps with hardening the pan within that mold, so it will be able to take the level of tuning to carry the pan for a long period, especially if you think of panorama or the rigorous practicing and playing, the pan will be able to stand the test of time due to that type of playing. So burning is critical for tuning. And from burning, you take it to tune. There's 3 levels of tuning. There's a first tune before the pan is coated in anything, before it's coated in paint, before it's coated in powder coat, before it's coated in chrome or even gold. It has to be pre-tuned. When it comes back from coating, then it has a second tuning and then a fine tuning before you take it to the customer. At the end of the fine tuning, at least at our end, we go through a quality check. I mean, each process has its own quality checks as well, but we go through a fine tuning quality check where we prepare for the customer, which goes into stringing, it goes into labeling, branding, cleaning, boxing, and then we have it packaged out to the customer. So that's the almost a full production flow that we unfold here at Midco.
So the factory caters for all different types of instruments. This, like you said, there are about 17 instruments that make up the family of the steel pan or the
Correct.
steel orchestra. So the factory manufactures whatever an order can be.
Correct.
If I say I need a range of basses, I can get
Yes,
that, and
you can get that.
any one of the members of that family.
Correct. What we did, we looked at the fraternity. We talk about standardization for a quick second. We look at the industry and we saw that there's a lot of different what we call layouts for the notes on these instruments that we are talking about. So we found the most popular layout across all instruments and we made it the Midco standard. So every day in our factory, we are producing pans, even if there is not a sale coming in. So we have inventory and we are producing pans daily across an ensemble setup. So there's a certain numbers of tenors compared to a certain number of basses that we produce daily or weekly. Outside of the Midco standard is what we call a customized order. Let's say, for instance, Desperados uses, just calling hypothetical names, a second and third tenor, and All Stars uses fourth and fifth tenor. Or we have fourth and fifth tenors in stock. You could get that. But if you want a second and third tenor, we'll have to manufacture that from scratch after payment. So we cater for the customer who wants the Midco standard. The new markets we intend to break through, they will be getting the Midco standard because we have inventory. And we also cater for the customer who wants a customized order based on their measurements and their orchestrations.
How long does it take to complete an order? Let's say of a tenor or double tenor, seconds. How long it takes to manufacture any of these instruments?
Yeah, that's a very good question because there's a few variables that affect the time greatly. When we setting up the factory in 2020, the chroming plant in Trinidad, the only quality chroming plants I will say in Trinidad, burned down. So now we have a steeper manufacturing company coming on board with nowhere to chrome. So, I mean, it was a blessing in disguise because we had to find an alternative, and that alternative came from a factory called AIH in Iowa. So now you're talking about shipping pans after its first tune all the way to the States to be chromed and bring it all the way back to Trinidad to be second tuned and fine tuned before it goes to the customer. So that affected our time greatly. So that's already 3 months there, 3.5 months just to get it coated in chrome. Right. To walk through, let's say the manufacturing side for different levels. The first stage, within a day, the guys can make 2 units. Make those 2 units appear double seconds, 2 tenors, and that's comfortably working. They can make more, but we're just talking about thinking of building up quality production.
Yeah.
2 units a day. And so let's say within a week, we can have your orchestrated order you just showed. But then if you want it powder coated, that's just a few more days based on a powder coater in Trinidad. But if you wanted chrome, you're already 3 months out, right? And then it comes back to the factory. It goes through a process of tuning, which will take between 3 to 4 weeks again. So with that system, you're talking about 4 to 5 months to complete that order with its present state. But what we did in Midco as well, which kind of narrows that timeline, before we started in 2023, because we set up the company in 2020, started production in 2021. So we had 9 months of inventory being built up. And then we launched on August the 11th, which is World Steel Pan Day, now recognized by the UN. We launched on August 11th, 2022. So when we launched with stock in hand. So people were walking into the factory literally and walking out with the instrument, at least the tenors. But we have lost that ability because our tenors were all burnt out. We got all those tenors were sold. So you're now trying to catch back up on that particular instrument as a tenor pan. But let's say double seconds, guitar, cello, we actually do have those stock. We have chrome to powder coated in the factory. So your wait time, it cuts down to about 6 to 8 weeks in waiting. Yeah.
So how do people put in orders? They can order online. Tell us about your social media platforms and if possible, cost.
Sure. So we have info@midcott.com, which you could put in any order using that email. It will link you to all the relevant persons. We also have a website. The website is www.midcott.com. You could go on our website and you could place an order online. You could actually pay online. So we have a full online system set up that receives orders. You could actually ask for consultation. So that's what you're doing here. You could request that. You could request a quotation. All that is set up online as well, because we are definitely playing in the international space. As much as we are locally set up, we're definitely looking for an international base for customers. In terms of prices range according to the coatings. So we have painted pans, which let's go wrong one instrument at 10 a pan. A painted 10 a pan is $6,500, which you get a 10 a pan, you get a free case, a free pair of sticks, free access to our educational program for a year, free. We have a certificate of authenticity, and once you're local, you have a free blend at the end of your purchase. So that's for our painted powder coated pans. A chrome pan is $9,300, and you get again a free case, free sticks, free care kit, free access to our educational material for a year. So, and a certificate of authenticity. So that's in terms of pans. The only thing that's outside of that package that the customer will need is a stand. And the reason why that is not within the package, because we're trying to settle in terms of the provider for steel pan stands. So hopefully we should kind of get over that hurdle within the next few weeks. So that's more or less, but everything is online, everything is accessible. You could go into, just as you go to Amazon, add to cart, take away from cart, pending in cart, ask for down payment as well. The other thing I would like to mention is we also have First Citizens Bank offering financing for your instruments. So just as you go into the bank to get any type of loan, you could go to the bank to get a loan for your steel pan. Name it a single pan, name it an ensemble, or name it an orchestra. Once you show the ability to repay, First Citizens Bank is willing to engage you for that loan. And then, of course, we facilitate via giving the instruments. So we have bank financing behind the company, and also, as I said, everything is accessible online.
Okay, fantastic. I saw where there's an ensemble affiliated with or part of Mitco.
Yes. So if you think of the pillars I spoke about earlier, we talk about the manufacturing, talk about the educational material. So we have an online academy, more or less, that is operational. It's pre-recorded, and you have about 12 videos of lessons that take you from beginner to at least play Happy Birthday in 3 keys. So you could at least perform at every birthday party. And then we have the ensemble. So the private orchestra that I spoke of, this is the first manifestation of that in terms of an ensemble, where it will more or less act as part of the marketing strategy of Midco. Persons want to hear the instruments. I mean, the pudding is as good as it's eaten. So we want to be able to showcase our instruments through our performances through this ensemble. So that's something new on the table. Actually, maybe within the next few minutes, we should be launching ad asking persons who are interested to join the ensemble. I'm going to go through an audition and an interview process to choose the best team to be part of this as well.
Okay, tell me something. Where the staffing of the factory is concerned, I know young people, we look at them, a lot of us, as a matter of fact, look at them with this negative thoughts about them and stuff. Are there qualifications or some sort of a method that they can come into to get into the factory as employees to learn pan making and stuff? Provisions are there for that?
Definitely. So there are 2 parts to this. And I want to let me give the academic part first. So right now, there's a CVQ in schools, through secondary schools. There's a CVQ program where, just as we would have had woodwork and metalwork and electrical, but at least when I was going to school, as part of a practical to do, there's CVQ, which is Caribbean vocational qualification under steel pan manufacturing, where you could choose steel pan manufacturing as your practical.
Right.
That's one. There's MIC. MIC do short courses in the introduction of steel pan manufacturing and tuning. There's YTEP. YTEP is actually currently doing a program through the Contribution Institute, starting introduction to steel pipe manufacturing and tuning. And then there's UTT. UTT has a fellowship and two undergraduate programs where steel pipe tuning and manufacturing is an elective, and for the fellowship is a core course. So there's that type of academic unfolding where persons could be certified in some level of steel pan manufacturing. But what we are seeing though, beyond that training, it's a very hands-on skill set, and it also needs to be led alongside professionals. So an apprentice type program is definitely necessary after those introductory type programs. So what Midco is almost doing, we want to see our campus as an apprenticeship. When they finish those programs, you can apply to Midco to become an apprentice. They can come in as an OJT once we get that OJT approval of having interns and persons coming in to do that stuff. We also want to have workshops and different things to stimulate the interest into steel pipe manufacturing. And the other part of it, what I was going to say is, all you need to have, honestly, is a burning desire to become, and you'll be fully committed towards becoming. And that's the blueprint. Because a lot of persons who came out as professionals, it's just that they were hungry for the information and the talent to do the craftsmanship towards the instrument. So we look at the both ends. If you have a level of training, it's fine. But even if you don't have it, but you really, really, really want to do it, we can find a space for you as well.
I hear you. I hear you, my brother. Well, I'm clean out of time with you, Akua. It's been such a pleasure. And I mean, that's a lot of information about Midco. I think as time goes on, I will link up with you again for another session like this where you can talk further about the progression of Midco as
Yes.
a pan manufacturing company, and of course the intention to help develop the young people.
Yes, no problem. Thanks for having me on. And
Yeah.
I mean, we really right on the nick of time. So I was happy to be able to come on at least for this 30 minutes.
Yeah, I was really worried in Akura because, like I was
Yeah.
telling that young lady I met there, I said this is something fantastic and I need to talk about it. I don't know if she had believed that
Yeah, she did. She did. She did. So when I told her today about not having it scheduled on the calendar, she was like, "Yeah, that's supposed to be today." So she was kind of hoping that it happened. So I'll
yes, and
definitely be
it
able to
did.
report
I'm
positive.
not seeing a comment here. It's asking
So,
anything for senior citizens who can still function.
of course, and I love that question because I came from a program that taught this Trinity All Generation School of the Arts.
Right.
So I got my steel pan certification alongside the very old and the young at heart as well. So within the Midco ensemble, let's give you a quick insight.
Yeah.
We want to start teaching where the young can come and learn to play, and the young at heart. I call them the young at heart persons who wants to come and play as well. And just to say to talk about programs that already exist, Trinidad All Stars, Master Trinidad All Stars also have a senior program that runs currently. So they're actually taking students in from ages 5 all the way up to adulthood to learn. So even if you don't even have to wait on Midco, there's programs already doing that, and you can check out Master All Stars to see what's happening there.
Okay. One thing I wanted to ask you too. What about affiliations or collaborations with the likes of like Robert Greenidge and my good friend Ray Holman, Booksy
Yeah.
Sharp? Yeah.
I
Tell us a
mean,
little bit about that.
so I got to meet the Haddad brothers through Dr. Len Bugsishap. I actually came in to work with him for Panorama as a drill master. Then I went on to be co-management and that sort of thing. And that's where I was introduced to the whole the sponsors of hardcore, of Phase to be in hardcore.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of stuff with Bugsy, the NSSO. We had 6 months of collaboration where he did only compositions for us, and then we had a whole big celebration on that. In terms of Ray Holman, I'm part of the Pantopia cast. I'm actually music director, one of the music directors, co-music director of that cast with Marvin Newton, which is going to premiere in a few weeks at Face to Panyard. So I am working with Booksy Sharp. When I was out at NIU, Dr. Cliff Alexis took me to see Robert Greenwich. So I went to look at Dr. Greenwich when you were part of that cast with
Yes.
let's try to remember the name of the band, but all these icons. That's why I spoke of the Hall of Fame. That's why I spoke about having the museum, because without those guys, there's no foundation that we should be standing on today. So that's key on the agenda,
Yes.
is to showcase and also collaborate with these guys as they are still around, and those who are no longer here definitely tell their story and have it iconized and make it a legacy and so forth.
I love the sound of that. Akira, thank you once again. We're gonna
You're
link up
welcome.
again. I promise to call you. I'll make sure that I do my homework and give you the heads up early,
Yes, thank you.
and we'll
All
chat
right,
again.
all right,
Thank you
David,
so much.
thanks.
That
All
was
right.
Akua Leith. Akua
Akua
Leith.
Leith.
Yes, Akua Leith of Mitco, the musical instruments of Trinidad and Tobago Company Limited, located out there in Diego Martin. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. So we're gonna make a little switch here. From now, I'm gonna bring onto the stage another beautiful, iconic personality, and as my advocacy, I can take it from way back to now. I'm always blessed to meet the people that I am supposed to meet in some sort of situation that just augurs well for me. So before I introduce the lady, it is with immense pride and joy of the National Carnival Commission introduces the Carnival Gallery, an exhibition that journeys through the time, unveiling the evolution and revolution of Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival within the grandstand foyer of the Queens Park Savannah. The dedicated team of the Carnival Institute and Regional Carnival, CIRC, has undertaken the extraordinary task of mounting this exhibition featuring enchanting and captivating installation designs by the creative director, Marianne Brailey. That's my guest today. And this nostalgic and innovative showcase aims to illuminate the historical progression of Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago, and of course, presenting 9 carefully crafted installations. It was a real mind blowing experience for me when I got to the Queens Park Savannah. First, let me say good afternoon and welcome to Power to Digital Hard Talk, Trini Ting, right? My Tuesday edition is called the Trini Ting. So I want to welcome Marianne Brailey, Miss Marianne Brailey, the creative director, to the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McIntyre, for having me. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hmm. It's been an awesome pleasure. I can't help it, but I said, "Wow!" I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So, fortunately, I was just passing there on the first day. It was exposed to people and stuff, and I said, "Who put this together? This is fantastic." And I went asking around, who's responsible for this? Who's the person behind this? Who can I talk to? And the first 3 or 4 people I met, they said, I don't know. I'm looking to myself. And there was this security guard who was just sitting there, and I asked her. She said it was a short lady, and if you can find her, she'll tell you everything you need to know.
Oh
So
gosh.
I just went wandering, and there you were. So it was a real pleasure meeting you. I have the brochure with me right now. As you can hear, I read from it a while ago. So
Yes.
tell us about the innovation of this thing. I mean, we have the Carnival Museum. We have all
Excuse
different
me.
sort of entities that can relate, but the Carnival Gallery give a different showcasing of from then to now. I mean, I saw people there like bewildered. People jaws were hitting the floor. Like wow. Tell us about the innovation and how this came about to be physically
Um,
presented.
yes. Well, there were discussions for a long time to put up an exhibition at the grandstand, something that has never really been done before.
Mhm.
Um, so the director of the Carnival Institute, along with the CEO of NCC and myself, we had discussions, and when they approached me to do this, we wanted to do something that was modern, that was interesting. I mean, it's a very small space, so it was difficult to highlight everything in the history of Carnival, but just to give a taste of it and for people to have a sense of appreciation for the Carnival and a little bit of nostalgia. But in terms of the design, we wanted to do something different, and to captivate the audiences, because people are coming into the Savannah to their shows, and mostly at night. So hence the design, uh, lighting was an important part
Mhm.
of the installations.
Yeah.
So that's, yes, basically it.
That was really fantastic and mind blowing. Like I said, awesome, 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 awesome. The information that was required or is required to support the setting up and the showcasing of this expose. I mean, that could have taken a lot of work and time.
Yes, well, the Carnival Institute and Regional Carnival, we have been archiving Carnival for a number of years now, and part of our mandate is the dissemination of this information. And Carnival exhibitions, we've done a few, is one of the ways we try to do that. So yes, it took some time. It was challenging because there's so much information, so it was very strategic in what we chose, who we chose, and um we didn't want to make it too, even though there was the first installation, we called it the beginnings, there were scrolls hung from the wall coming to the floor,
Yeah.
which gave a brief historical background from Carnival, from pre-emancipation to the 1950s, so trying to get some of the highlights in there. It generally was challenging, but I think people got an idea, and if anybody, which there were a few people who wanted more information, we just directed them on where to go, if they could come and visit the institute, send us an email. So it did take some time in terms of getting the information in one space. Yes.
Yes, yes. Well, I have a lot of pictures that you sent me here. Uh,
Yes.
let's just show one of
I
a couple of them before we continue this year. You can chat with me while I scroll through.
Yes. So this installation, this is about our heroes. So that image you're seeing there are lit boxes. So we chose 30 heroes,
Yeah,
ranging from calypsonians, musicians, designers, and mass, pan, and calypso, who played vital roles in shaping the cultural landscape of Carnival, which, again, as I said, challenging to choose 30. There's so many heroes
I know.
that have contributed to our carnival, so, but that's what this installation was. So they were printed on boxes and they were lit, again, trying to think out of the box, do something creative,
Yeah.
to showcase. I mean, the exhibition was a lot of photography, some text and artifacts.
Mhm.
We had to also consider the environment because, having too many artifacts like costumes, we had a few, but, we have to consider the environment in which it would have been in. So we couldn't have put too much of those types of precious things out in the open.
Yes, I
You
know. I know. Let's show another one.
know.
Okay.
Right. Well, so this is what I was just talking about in terms of the scrolls. So
Yeah.
we try to do a design where the scrolls hang and they kind of unravel, and
On
you
the
would
floor.
see,
Yeah.
yes, pre-emancipation, post-emancipation, 1901 to 1930s, 1940s and 50s, and as I said, it's really just a glimpse. There's so much more to the history
I
of
know.
it.
This is another of the boxes of the picture.
Yes, yes. So, some of the heroes here, we have Harold Saldina, Robert Greenwich, we have Stalin, Marshall, Jit Samaru. Some of the people you'll be seeing here in this image is Duke, some in the background. And part of this installation would be the images in the background. So we highlighted the heroes
Mhm.
um, and their works were in the background to complement them. So if you were a pan tuner or a designer, as you see, we have miniature hummingbird in the background there. So
Yeah.
that's these two installations kind of go together.
Okay. Here's another one.
Yes, this is another view of the same installation on the wall here. So the heroes again and their contributing works.
Mhm.
So I see we have at the bottom we have George Bailey.
Yes.
Um, yes, we have a young chalk dust in Skinner Park
Yeah.
on the left.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm going to give people a lot of glimpses of them.
Yes, that's another glimpse of the same installation. And here's, yes,
Yes.
you can see the scrolls. Yes.
Yes.
This installation, we featured, it's a small feature of animal mass and devils and demons.
Yeah.
In this photo you're seeing, we had live gorilla in a cage. A gorilla is one of the traditional mask characters in
Mm.
Carnival.
Yeah.
So this is he's in the cage, and then there's another one outside of the cage. So for shows we had characters around mingling with people to take photo ops and entertaining them as well. I don't know if you're aware of the gorilla, but they're very,
Yes.
you know, very entertaining. So
Very
that's what
much so.
this installation. There he is again inside
Yes.
there. Yeah.
I think this is fantastic. Now, I just
Um,
have a guy with me, Mitko. So let's.
yes, I heard I heard him saying, talking about a museum, and I'm with you, this is just a small pan installation, it shows some of the old pans,
Mhm, right.
the tambu bamboo.
Yeah.
In the back of it, and part of the installation, we had five screens
Mhm,
that showcased Carnival through the years. I think in this picture, that's a glimpse of Carnival around 1942,
mhm,
I believe.
yeah.
So people got an idea of how it was. We try to do a more older, highlight older aspects of the Carnival. And
Yeah.
hence you would see the old pans, the biscuit drum, the dudup, and these pans, early pans, as you
Yes.
would say.
Yes.
This is part of the costume installation. That's a king sailor.
Mhm. Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
very well. This is one of my favorite installations.
Mhm.
This is I call it the a walk through the pyramid of memories.
Okay.
So we try to highlight some of the aspects, Savannah grass, Savannah space, the golden era of mass, walk through time,
Mhm.
if you so want to put it, of photographs.
Yeah.
There's so much more. Just
No.
but it was a glimpse. Well, yes, this is the small costume installation. On the right, that red costume, that's a Warrahoon character, one of the very early characters in Trinidad traditional mass.
Yeah.
In the back, we have a Dame Lorraine. In the center, that's actually the one of the outfits that's on loan, belonging to the Mighty Duke.
Yeah.
And then we have Peter Minshall on the far left
Yeah.
from his gosh, I forgot, Sacred Heart um band.
Yes. Yes.
So yes.
Well, those are all the pictures I could have posted up on the show the time that I got it.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I'm very very elated about the gallery in itself, and I'm hoping that people. What about now? I understand that it's not open for viewing now. Is that
It's currently closed. We, as I mentioned, the conditions they're under, it's time to take it down, dust it off, clean it, put it
Mhm.
back in its acid-free tissue, into its acid-free boxes, and send it into conservation. Preservation and conservation is a very important aspect of the NCC, and by extension the Carnival Institute and Regional Carnival. It's something we've been doing since 2004, thereabouts.
Yeah.
So a lot of that takes place, archiving, documenting, um, So yes, it is closed for now. I believe the NCC is actively considering doing more exhibitions
Mhm.
in a more controlled environment in the same space.
Okay.
So hopefully you can look forward to other exhibitions in the future.
Okay, now tell me, I want to put you on the spot. Seeing that you've done so
Oh
much
gosh.
chronological work with the museum, there's so much to showcase of past carnivals and now. Are you comfortable with the kind of um, mass productions that is happening today?
Wow. You're really putting me on the spot there. Um, in terms of traditional mass, to be honest, I think there's uh, a lot of collaborative work that needs to be done in terms of keeping the tradition alive in especially in the aspect of costuming and that tradition. The regional carnival, this is something that we do every year. There are workshops
Yeah,
yearly, school workshops and master tutor workshops to train new people to teach the art form. So
yeah,
that is that I would say definitely is doing extremely well in terms of preserving tradition. These schools, we do training every year, and then Carnival Fridays when they come out on the road and perform. The different schools perform in their costumes. Each school will be designated a different character.
yeah.
So definitely, I would say it's very safe with the children. I
Right.
would say,
Yeah.
in that aspect, definitely it's doing well. Yes.
Mhm. Well, I know children mass. I always tell some people complain. I work as an announcer with well, was NCC, now is TTCBA, but I just it's a passion, and I'm always very much immersed into doing what I do. So people
Yes.
would come to me and say, Mr. McIntyre, why is Carnival like this now? Is it just about beads and bikinis? Where's the masquerading that told stories of Trinidad and Tobago? What's your take about that? If you could answer that.
I'm not sure I could fully answer that due to many reasons. But it is, as I said, I believe that we're safe with the children,
Yes.
but I believe much more effort can be made in terms of bringing back that masquerade in which you speak of.
Yes, because I think it told stories of. I'm very concerned about it. I'm an advocate for that. I mean,
Yes.
I do a job, right? So I come there to do what I'm being paid for.
Yes.
But if
Yes.
I had my way, and if I could have influenced the hierarchy of the NCC, I would have asked them to mandate that these bands do something that tells stories of our culture. We are blessed with a diverse and very, a wide range of cultures that come together that we call Trinidad and Tobago. We have
Yes.
the East Indian version, we have the African version, we have
Yes.
the so I
Yes.
think and many events and happenings went by that we can tell stories of. Even when you look at the fauna and the ecosystem by
Mm-hmm.
extension, we can portray that. I remember Mac Williams one time doing Buy Local and the Buku Reef and all
Yes.
that.
Yes. Yes.
So are you hoping that it will go into some masquerading heads that is just not all about? I have no problem with the bikinis and stuff. They can be part of the sections of the bands, but
Yes.
I am hoping and praying that they will come to terms with how we present Carnival to the world.
Well, I believe that still exists with our traditional mass. The storytellers are still there. There are few that is upholding this tradition.
Yeah.
Um, but I I can't comment more on that. But I do hope that the landscape of that does goes back to its roots at some point. But it is being done with the traditional mass.
Okay.
As even though it's few in terms of its portrayal today. Traditional masses is a community um endeavor. It's mostly families, generations carrying it on.
Mhm.
So maybe there is hope.
Yes, well, I certainly hope so because I would like the world to see what Trinidad and Tobago is now, as we did back in the days, and I'm looking forward to that. So, will this carnival expose or exhibition, as
Exhibition, yes.
yes, will it be offered like we have school vacation coming up for the Easter, and would it be like reopened for a time like that?
I at this point I cannot say, but as I mentioned before, there is active consideration for the NCC and the board of the NCC to continue this as a permanent, ongoing, event at the Savannah.
Okay.
You know,
Any collaboration with the Carnival Museum? I also link up with them. I'm a
well,
cultural kind of
w-
person.
yes, the NCC has been collaborating with the Carnival Museum, the Penny Bank, since it's opened its doors. We have worked with them. I have designed a few exhibitions for them. So we do collaborate. We do try to collaborate with them, as including the stakeholders, TTCBA, Trinbago,
Yeah.
and TUCO, in terms of keeping and preserving the traditions
Yeah.
and keeping the art forms alive. So yes, we do work with them very closely.
Yes, I'm happy to hear that because I would like to see this and to be commenting on this thing. I like to comment on what I call we music and we culture.
Yes, yes, it's just something to be proud of. And we must be proud of it. This is ours.
Yes, yes. So should people need information and stuff, how do they connect with the Carnival Gallery personnel per se?
Well, the exhibition, the Carnival Institute and Regional Carnival, there we do have social media pages on Facebook and Instagram,
Yeah.
and it's something we do all the time. People reach out to us from primary school to tertiary levels in terms of gathering research, getting information, having access to some of the archives. So we can be reached via email, carnivalinstitute@gmail.com, or via our Facebook pages, Carnival Institute of Trinidad and Tobago, on both Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, okay. Well, Miss Brailey, it's been quite a pleasure chatting with you. I'm going to stay connected. I know you have my number and everything now. So,
Yes.
I was showing my boss the brochure. I'm very, 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 very.
Yes.
I keep it very close to me, and I'm not sharing per se.
It was very few that we gave out, the catalog. It was few that but I'm really grateful for the opportunity. I'm really grateful for you highlighting it. I know a lot of people didn't get to see it.
That's right.
Um, we will be posting up some photographs and video of the exhibition
Hmm.
very soon, so people should be able to view it there. And once there's another exhibition coming up, I will be sure to let you know.
I'll be happy and very much appreciative of that.
Definitely.
So I want to
Thank you.
thank you for sharing time with me, and of
Thank
course,
you for having me.
it was indeed a pleasure. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Take care.
Okay, goodbye. Good afternoon, in fact.
Good afternoon to you too.
Yes, that was Miss Marianne Brailey of the Carnival Institute and the Regional Carnival of Trinidad and Tobago. And we spoke in length about the Carnival Gallery. And like she said, you could go online and find out more, all that you need to know about the Carnival Gallery. It's really fantastic. It's mind blowing. Like I said, it will make your bottom jaw hit the floor. And it's very, very informative also. So for people whose children or who are interested into that kind of social knowledge and uh, creativity and mass making, and need to know the history of of the people who made it all possible. You can check in with these people online, as she said, and get to know more. So there's a thank you version of this brochure here. Clarence Moore, Marianne Brailey, the fine lady who we just had here, Claire Woods, Niambi Holder, Kern Williams, Orlando Dinchang, Kevin Fortune, Peggy Fraser, Alicia Scarrett, Wendy Merritt King, Derek Luces, Adele Bino, Nizam Mohammed, Sharon O'Connor, Nellion Jointe, I hope I got that right, Anderson Satio, Nikosi Nicholas, Jerome Sandans, Akim Jack, Christopher George, Fenton Simon, Simon Aboud, and the team at Signpost Limited, Vishnu Balrup and team, Thomas Figaro, Carlton Belfort, and Andrew Brizan. Those are the folks who worked tremendously hard and put in a lot of time in producing the Carnival Gallery. So I want to thank you once again, Miss Brailey. And
You're welcome.
I look forward to having you on my program soon come.
No problem. This wasn't too bad. Not so nerve-wracking.
I told you don't have to worry. So I'll keep in contact with you, and any info you need
Yes,
to pass on, you can just
for
pass.
sure. For sure. Will do.
Okay, thanks so very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.